Yes, I believe that's absolutely a certainty at this point. It's a matter of not if, but when.
Maybe. And the day that we do, we might not know it. That could be the end of the world, it could be the beginning of something else, and I don't worry about it even though I work in the AI field.
Nobody can say that for sure because it hasn't been invented yet. It is the goal, the direction, the technology core of my organization's aims. SingularityNET is developing artificial general intelligence at human level ability of intelligence.
I do firmly believe that we get to AGI, and we get to AGI within a decade from now.
Maybe 5 or 15 or 50 years. Again, when it happens, either we did something to control it or it was out of our control. And so that's why I don't worry about it or even try and predict the time.
We're working to a timeline of 3 to 7 years at SingularityNET.
I think one signal recently with ChatGPT and those kind of technologies shows that we've passed some kind of threshold in terms of conversational ability. It's hard to see, honestly, what would be another signal for me. I think that if AGI emerges, it will emerge over time, smoothly and slowly. I'm less concerned or find it even harder to predict a Big Bang Terminator kind of moment.
The fundamental aspect of when people think about AGI is that there's a certain aspect of superintelligence. That is easier to measure, but the part that is harder is aspect of consciousness, which is, agency, aspect of us being an independent, functional entity that has a place in the world. It's like, being aware of awareness. And that's an aspect which we don't yet understand in humans itself, right, and themselves. And so from that perspective, when we don't understand what really human consciousness looks like or feels like or is created, then more than likely, when we do achieve machine consciousness, we won't really know. We won't know until maybe much later. Maybe there's some AGI or some baby AGIs get to a level of consciousness and achieve consciousness, but we won't necessarily know until much later when we have either understanding of how consciousness works or tools to measure it.
It could. A lot of people say that if we teach AGI any form of human ethics and then it judges us by that, it might not find what it likes. But that's a choice. What kind of ethics do we give it? What kind of power do we give it over the machines and the electricity that it needs to survive?
So we need to choose our own joy. We need to choose what AI turns into. Sometimes we just run around flapping, going, AI's coming. We create a positive, constructive, unbiased, kind and compassionate superintelligence or general intelligence that has as its very, very core purpose to support humanity, to resolve and cure illnesses, to sort out problems like world hunger.
I think there's a very likely scenario that it doesn't happen, and we are able to figure out how to live with AGI and, in fact, improve the quality of our existence by leveraging AGI. But that being said, I think the risks are real, and for the most part, I think the concerns are largely stemming from the perspective of losing control. When you do have a super intelligent entity, you don't necessarily have a means or ways to control that. And when you do lose control, you are at that mercy of that entity. And so from that perspective, that is a very, I'd say, scary situation.
Best strategy against a robot uprising, not build robots, but that's not quite an answer. I think the best strategy is to actually use AI in small ways, mundane ways, and get to know it that way and get to control it by learning to control the small version of it. I think might give us some tools that we might need to control and maybe prevent or change the future from that big scary kind of killer robot soldier dog thing.
I think what we need to do is we need to take some concrete measures to understand potentially two things. One is, how are these models being built? Is there accountability around that? Who's building it? What's the agenda? So I think, at a very high level, do what you call a KYC, similar to what you do in the financial world, is know your customer in this particular situation, sort of know your creator, who's creating these AGI. And I think that needs to be sort of a little bit more transparent than it is today. And then the other part is build a responsible AGI. And I think that's potentially the best we can do. I think build an AGI with unbiased data, build an AGI with the right ethic moral models, create an AGI entity that potentially has empathy and ability to understand and care about human emotions.
I don't see any other hope other than AGI to dramatically, rapidly transform the fundamental inequalities and problems on our planet today. So we choose that future. We designed the AIs to be positive for humanity. We designed them to be loving, kind, compassionate, and benevolent from the get-go.